Hey, welcome back to the X Podcast, where I am required to wear the exact same outfit 3 weeks in a row. You are too. And we have a very quiet, shy, reserved young man with us for as a guest. We have the one and only drummer, entrepreneur, acrobat, Tyler Markham. How are you?
I'm good. Appreciate that.
That third one isn't true, is it?
Yeah, well, haven't been introed that way yet, but we'll take it.
Sporting the your wife calls it the Travis Kelce stash.
Yeah, I'm like the.
If you're watching
like
on
the
YouTube,
Temu version of Travis.
Okay.
So like, yeah,
Okay.
get like the wish version. So yeah,
nice.
yeah.
I met you. Was it 2 years ago?
Yeah.
You came up to me. I don't know if you remember this.
I won't.
But I'm told I have an odd memory. You came up to me at the end of the second experience and said, "We've got to talk. I feel like I know you already. Also, there's a girl in Virginia that you don't know this yet, but she's your future wife."
Yeah.
And I said, "My name's Russ."
Yeah.
And you said, "Oh yeah, I'm Tyler." And that
What
was
an introduction.
And that's why he's still single. He was more worried about introducing himself and didn't care about the girl. She, side plug, is, I think, still available.
Wow.
It's West Virginia.
Yeah, I was going to
Whatever.
say, would she move out of West Virginia? That's the question.
And does she have teeth? I'm
Maybe.
kidding.
I know, right?
I'm kidding.
She does, dude. They're in
Okay.
the drawer.
Okay. Okay. I like how this is getting started.
Oh, my gosh. I love it.
So we thought it'd be fun to chat, hear your story, and I think y'all just had lunch.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks for the invite. Where'd you go?
There's only room for two.
An exceptionally mediocre place
Yes.
Y'all gotta-
called B-Dubs.
Oh God, thank you. I take back my regret and I give
Right.
you gratitude.
Yes.
for
Was
not inviting you.
He
love
likes
B-dubs.
Wendy, though.
I don't mind. It's
likes
nice and
Wendy.
local.
There are other.
I do
local
like Wendy.
options.
She's nice.
I think he feels like he still has it.
I've
under
tried to
there,
get
you know?
Wendy to come to church so many times. So many times. She
Oh, I
always,
thought- oh, I
she
thought
always
this was-
acts like she will. And then she just.
I thought this was
doesn't.
like a joke, like from The
No.
Office when we were talking about Wendy's, and she's like,
No,
she's
Wendy.
cute, she's
No,
got
no.
red hair.
No, Wendy.
Wendy.
Wendy, okay,
I will
okay.
try. I
She
keep trying.
probably calls him honey, if I had to guess.
She might.
She probably does.
I've tried to get her to come to church so many times, and she'll tell me she'll come, and then she doesn't.
How much do you want to bet me I can get her to come?
What do you mean? Why do I have to bet you money?
mean,
How
you
about,
just
why
keep
can't you
saying
just
you
be
tried.
challenged?
Yeah.
Why can't you just consider yourself challenged?
Is everything about money with
Yeah.
you, Tyler?
Every day, get in there.
4:14. I'll have her here Sunday.
Okay.
If you do that, I'm taking you out to dinner.
All right. Well, okay. So you caught up over B-Dubs, and he was just sharing. I'm sure I've heard bits and pieces of your story, but as y'all were talking, you're originally from West Virginia.
No.
Yeah. No, I am. I'm originally from West Virginia.
Okay.
Yep, small town, Ripley, West Virginia. Largest
Ripley's,
small
believe it or not?
town. Close.
Okay.
Largest small town 4th of July celebration in America.
That is
I think the world,
specific.
but
Largest
yeah,
small
it's
town.
at least the world. It's at least America. Yeah, largest small
Wow.
town 4th of July celebration.
Wow.
We had Bush there. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
incredible.
It was yeah. So
Ripley.
small town. Yep.
I see Ripley all the time. If you come back up 77 and get on 33 to come back home.
Yep.
I've done that drive so many times, and it's like the
Interesting.
last exit
It
or
is.
the exit where you get off.
Yeah, there's
you
a
take that
forbidden
bridge.
town past us. That's our rival that we don't speak of. You go through that town, and then you're in Ohio.
That's what it is. It's
Yeah.
Ripley's a couple exits
And
before.
did you grow up trying to survive the Mothman prophecies?
That's close to us. 30 minutes. Point
Is it
Pleasant.
really?
Yes,
Man, I
really.
just got flashbacks.
Russ, are you ready? Are you sitting down?
What?
My stepdad was the circuit judge in that county for 8 years.
No.
County.
Are you serious? Do you even know what
I
we're talking
don't
about?
even know.
Yeah, the Mothman.
Okay.
Point Pleasant.
Give us the summary. Give us the
What's,
synopsis.
I don't know about Mothman.
Well, okay. I'm not.
This
I'm
is a
not,
disturbing movie. It's like 20
I'm
ye's
not
old.
superstitious, okay? But I'm
But you're a little.
You're a little stitious.
I love that you love The Office.
Oh, that was my quote.
Okay.
Anyways,
Stole
I was raised ultra Christian, so number one, all of this is fake, and I'm not allowed to talk about it because it's not in the
Okay.
Bible. But
Okay.
if it were
Right.
real, Mothman is this creature, UFO person,
Demon?
mothball, demon-looking figure, avatar, if you will, in the Point Pleasant, West Virginia area, which is right across the river from Gallipolis, Ohio, which is like the southernmost
Is that how
portion
you
of Ohio.
pronounce it? Every time I always hear is Gallipolis.
It's Gallipolis, but
Gallipolis.
Gallipolis, Ohio.
Okay.
Point Pleasant is right across from it, and that is where they believe, and whomever they is, this is a body of suspicious people, probably
Conspiratorial people.
Yes, believe that there was this Mothman thing. So I'm going to definitely butcher it, but before we forget to add, Point Pleasant was also, that same little town is the, I'll butcher this, but a bridge crashed there in the 50s as well. Right there in that exact area, a bridge crashed across the Ohio River, and my grandmother actually witnessed it. So,
wow.
Yeah, so it's another one of those, that's what a lot of people know in Point Pleasant. Obviously, incredibly tragic, but...
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know a lot about where the Mothman thing originated.
Is this like a Bigfoot type thing?
Yes.
Like people believe but it's a Mothman.
But there were
Looks like a moth?
actual incidents of people dying and sightings and stuff. Is that right?
Dying.
Maybe mixing this up with the movie.
Wait, so now the Mothman's
That's very possible.
So the Mothman's a serial killer, and everybody that is found inside of a cocoon,
Okay.
or
Where have I taken us?
I don't know. That's
So you're from West
Mom,
Virginia.
Mom, I don't know anything about this, Mom, and you raised me right. I don't know anything about this.
Yes.
Yeah,
You're asking me foreign things.
You rebuked the Mothman in the name of
Not
Jesus.
in the Bible.
So what brought you? You were in West Virginia till what age? Till how long ago?
Yeah, 2 years ago. So 30.
2 years ago.
Yeah, 2 years ago. Yep. I'm 36 now, so 34.
Okay.
All my life. Born in Ripley, actually. I was one of the last babies at the hospital in Jackson County, West Virginia. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I think it's like a veterinary clinic now, but they did people and babies
Okay.
for a while.
That's
now,
comforting.
now they've moved to animals.
Right.
Well,
They didn't have as good a record with people, so they
Lost
switched to animals.
accreditation.
what you're saying is there's no more room in the inn. Okay, so 2 years ago you moved here.
Yeah.
Take us through that.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
took you from there to here? Besides,
And what do you do?
Yeah,
Because that
great
was probably
question.
part of it, right? Even
It is. Yeah. So I am a serial entrepreneur, but I have focused in real estate for the past decade. So for a decade, I have been a house flipper. I have done a little bit of a lot in real estate, but we've transacted a little over 300 homes in the fix and flip. We've had Airbnbs. We do creative financing. I built a mobile home park. Wow. I've invested in multifamily. I've obviously raised private money and done, syndications and those kinds of things. So a little bit of a lot in real estate, and I cut my teeth in real estate there in West Virginia, just from the first ideologies of doing my wife and I's first house flip. And this was back when the origination of Tarek and Christina, that. Mm-hmm. We're still together.
I was going to say, you guys did a flip
Right.
together? You guys kind of deal?
No, I'm saying Tarek and Christina, we are not them now because we are still
You're
together.
still together. I know, but they flipped together.
Yeah.
So
we
that's what I'm
did
saying.
that.
You guys flipped
Yeah,
together.
we were like the West Virginia Tarek and Christina for a good while. So 2015, I went full time in real estate. Prior to that, I had a legal video deposition company.
I
know
remember
that's
this.
a direct correlation to real estate. Prior to that, I had black hair and a lip ring hole, and I was a Christian rock drummer and went on
Love
tour,
it.
skipped college. No sleep, no money, then went into the legal video, and then, like I said, direct transition into real estate.
gotcha.
Did you look like you had just come off tour when you were doing legal video depositions? Because I could just picture punk rock dude with
Actually, that was really hard for me to picture now.
picture in settings where
can give you a
lawyers
picture.
and people are coming in, and you are dressed in goth, and they are sitting down, and you've got your fingernails painted black.
Yeah.
Which you probably weren't allowed to do, actually.
No, I was ultra Christian.
That's right,
okay?
ultra Christian.
So,
so you're in 9 Inch Nails and making illegal
Right,
videos.
basically.
After that, you are 2 years or you're 8 years into being the Ryan Pineda of West Virginia.
Yeah.
And then you move here. Why?
Yeah. So, a ton of things. It's so interesting for me to unpack this question today because I still struggle with it. I can't put my finger on why. I can put my finger on my season was up. And I was and still am really close with my pastor, who was my pastor in West Virginia. Shout out to Southridge Church. Go you guys if you watch this. But even he was one of the first guys that I went to say hey, I'm tired Like, I'm tired. Like, I've done a lot of things here. I've done a lot of things that I think most would consider impressive, or most would consider how, how timely is this that we're talking about success. Like, and how do you feel successful? Most would probably measure what I've done as a success. And I don't really feel like that. And the market has been really hard to grow in. And sadly, West Virginia actually loses more population every year than it gains. So for me, this is the verbal processing of why, I just really felt like we had acquired skill sets and we were working really hard to do a great work, and I always say a good work to serve God's great work. Like, I feel like we had really worked hard to form that, but the market and the pool the pond we were fishing in, if you will, just really didn't have a lot of economic drivers. Yeah. So we expanded to Columbus in 2022 with house flipping, kind of in the tail end of our house flipping career. And obviously it was like light years different in market trend and market growth, and honestly just the palpable feel of the market.
Wow. Yeah.
And this, you want the real deep, why did you move? Well, I was sitting at Easton one day and there was a We Buy Houses yard sign, like a Sharpie yard sign at a stoplight. And I was just sitting in the car and I just was like, this is 2 hours from my house. Like, why am I not here? This is, I should be doing what that guy's doing.
I always forget how close West Virginia is to here.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not.
Hour and a half, really?
An hour and 40 minutes to my parents' house, yeah.
Wow.
So not that bad, but
moving to like a major market
Yep.
was kind of the driver. You have
Chasing
all this.
opportunity.
You have chasing opportunity. You have drive
Yeah.
and motivation, and you're developing skills, and you're like, I'm not being able to put them to use here the way I think I can.
Correct.
And so
Yeah, a really good real estate coach that said, hey, you're a great operator in a bad market. And that's all you really need to say.
Yeah.
Like that's okay.
Yeah.
That's it. So back to my pastor of wrestling with this with Pastor Scott of I have all these things that we've done here, and we have a men's Bible study in my office, and I'm a group leader here, and and we have all of our best friends here, and we have our life groups here, and our parents are close, everything says you should stay. Everything that is normal says you're crazy. But there's something in you that's insatiable that says if you're the leader of your home and you're the leader in your life and you're the leader that God has called you to be, to go and chase and do and dream, and if you don't go chase those dreams, the people's dreams that are praying for you to chase your dreams so it will unlock theirs won't get answered.
That's good.
So we moved.
Yeah.
We picked Canal Winchester on a map. It was southeast of Columbus.
Funny.
We picked it on a map. Felt like it smelled good here. And
how many times? So you're sitting in Easton, which I do believe there's glory there. So
had an Airbnb there for
I
a minute.
understand how the anointing was there in that moment.
This was on the good side.
Okay. Yeah. You were at North Star, you say?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That breakfast burrito, God will speak to it.
Pimento cheese
Every time.
burger.
Absolutely.
Fire.
Shout out North Star. A lot of people don't know this. North Star, did you know this?
We're open for plugs here.
Their burger is rated in the top 51st in America.
I would rate it in the top 2.
You know what? I love you. God bless you.
And if you don't get a cookie, when you go there,
what are you doing with your
I will
life?
sue you. I will literally
with
sue
your
you.
life. So you're at Easton. You have this thought. You've already been maybe wrestling with this unease of the passion in your heart is a little bit bigger than the pond that you're in. Yep. And then from there, did you bring Molly? Did y'all come back a few times to just think through it, pray through it, or was it just kind of like, man, I just kind of know, and then I don't really need a ton of confirmation? What did that process look like to move and take the leap?
Man. I'll get through this without crying. I'm on low sleep today, and I love a good cry, so maybe we go there. But my wife has always trusted me. My wife has always, there's a better word than I can come up with, but viciously trusted me. And I know there's probably men that would listen to this that would pray for that. And I can tell you that sometimes it's exhausting as well because she won't say no. She won't push back.
Yeah.
It's always I trust you. And so sometimes I had felt in this one with hey, I think we should move. I'm really struggling. She had kind of seen a little of the struggle, some of the things in the business, things that we had just thought would grow better, things that we just thought would stabilize that hadn't. She had kind of seen it, but yeah, the idea to say I think we should move was really tough. That was really tough. So it took a while, probably 4 months of us dating the idea that maybe there's something really going to happen here. This is real. And of course, I have young kids. I have 11, 9, and 2-year-olds. Sidebar, didn't have a 2-year-old when this started, but we then had to figure out how to unpack that with them as well. Like, we're going to uproot them from their stability and all that they've ever known, and the grandparents and the things that were all close and good. So as we verbally process here, Molly and I did finally get to the place where she said, you know, I will trust you. I do trust you. I've always trusted you. You know that. If you think this is what we should do, like, it really makes me sad. It makes me sad to leave my friends and my family. And my wife still hasn't made her best friends here yet. Like, there's still chapters we still need to do.
Yeah.
And so for her to say all that, you know, as empowering as it might have felt to some, it was also like,
you felt the weight of it.
Yeah.
Like, you better play ball, dude.
Yeah.
It's time to,
This better work.
right. You said it, so you better prove it.
And don't you wish every aspect of the dream unfolded at the same time?
I mean, at 18, I worked construction when I was a broke touring rock musician, right? When we were off the road, I worked construction, helping, ironically, build my parents' house for the builder that they had built it. Throwing, you know, OSB sheets of plywood up on a roof. And you told me at 18, like, dude, you're going to do real estate. It'd be like, wrong, dude. You've missed it by a mile. So not interested in this. So, yeah, like, the idea to think your entrepreneurial journey through transacting in real estate is going to take you from everything you've ever known.
Yeah.
And you're going to swallow the pill and be okay with it. Like, you're gonna do it.
Yeah. But I even mean, like, when you moved here. So I really resonate with the whole idea of, like, that inner knowing that, you know, the old timers say, you know, in your knower.
Yeah.
That inner knowing of my season's up somewhere.
Yeah.
And because I remember I had that in Atlanta where I was like, my season is up there. And then I ended up being there a little bit longer than I thought I would be. But then you have dreams of when you come there. And an author I really love, John Markham, where he talks about the dream of what you feel like God puts in your heart or life puts in your heart is always longer, harder, different, better.
Yes.
So eventually better, but all the pieces coming to pass is longer than you think, harder than you think, and in some ways will look different than you think.
Yes. Yes. And you know, fully resonate on they will take 3 times as long. They feel 3 times less fulfilling when you get to them. We talked about that at lunch. Like, yeah, some of the milestones that we just thought, like, oh my goodness, we'll just have like this epiphany and it'll just like be there. And it wasn't, and it hasn't been. So we moved here to chase opportunity. And I didn't know, I want to go back to my pastor of like this blessing that he gave me was, because this was really spiritual for me of like, I don't feel like God's saying, hey, you know, you have these people that say, well, you know, we just felt the call from God to get up this morning and pack our bags and just move to Haiti. Like, I didn't have that.
Yeah.
God wasn't like, hey, man, Canal, this is where I want you to be. There's these great guys you're going to meet. You're going to love it. What my pastor said to me that finally gave me that peace to know there is a yearning in my heart that there's a new season coming and I'm willing to accept it. In the unknowingness of the season, I'm willing to accept it. I will walk. He said, as long as if you stay in God's will, it's okay where you live. And it was like, yeah, that is true. Like, I guess it is true.
Stephen Furtick has this. Stephen Furtick has this famous sermon from like 15 years ago called "God's Will Is Whatever," and it's whatever you
do it as unto the Lord.
Yeah. And we probably get caught up. I do believe God has specific assignments, and I do believe that exists. But I think overall we tend to overcomplicate it. And,
that mountaintop experience, you know, that's what I always think of. Like, we're waiting on this mountaintop experience where we're just going to be spoken to.
Or I'll just throw this out. Sorry, it reminds me. Sometimes the confirmation and certainty God gives you in one season, you expect it to be like that in the next season.
Yeah.
So when I moved to, it's funny, I don't know if this is okay to admit here, but when I moved to Atlanta, when I moved to Lexington, I didn't even pray about this bad. I just knew I was supposed to move to Lexington. When I moved to Atlanta, knew. Like, it felt almost supernatural confirmation. I visited about 4 or 5 places before I came here, and I kept waiting for that, like, in the clouds, God audible, and it never happened. And I remember and I fell in love. The moment I came up here and met him, Pastor Trey, saw the church. I mean, I fell in love with the crew here. But I was still waiting. God, where's that in the clouds? And I remember, go back to Stephen Furtick, I remember the book. He says sometimes all you need is a 55%.
Literally,
It's go take the hill. Perhaps the Lord's in this, and if the people around you feel peace and you feel like there's, but here's what's crazy. Looking back now, I've never felt more certain in retrospect that I'm where I was supposed to be. Like, I loved my season in Lexington, loved my season in Atlanta. It's funny, I moved here on a 55%, and now I'm at 110% oh my gosh, I could have never dreamed everything God would do, everything the church would be, anyways, I think that's important maybe for anybody listening too, that it helps when you're 12 and your parent gives you a lot of reassurance.
Right.
I think sometimes when you grow up, God gives you less assurance.
Yeah.
Can you turn my car on this exit and then I'll know? You do it.
Yeah.
Like, no, that's not how it works.
I think he expects that your faith is going to grow.
Yeah.
It's like when you're young and you're a kid, you give more guidance as a parent. When they get older, you stop giving as much guidance because you need them to learn how to make those decisions on their own.
Yep.
It's almost like God does the same thing with us. You know what I mean? It's
Isn't
like,
that frustrating?
I think it is. Sometimes I feel like there are earlier times in my life where it seemed like the path was clear, quicker. And then I feel like as you kind of walk through the path and you go, oh, I am where I'm supposed to be, all this stuff. And then you get to other forks in the road and you're just like, all right, God, I need to know. I mean, it felt like that building this building. I write about that in the book. Like it was the hardest thing ever. Looked like an impossible situation. I'm trying to find every out that I can. I'm just looking for them. No doors are opening. I'm just like, and it was one of those things that it was just, and here's why I think, because as you get older, I think the decisions get bigger. The impact is bigger. The weight is heavier. Now it's not just you.
Yeah.
And then it's not just you and your wife. Now it's you and your wife and your kids.
Yep.
And the impact of that. And I think because of that, I think it gets way harder to ascertain, am I supposed to? And, and so, sometimes we don't always get just like writing in the clouds, or we don't go, God, give me a sign. And then you look up and there it is. There was a sign that literally had your name on the billboard. And it, like, you know what I mean? It was, it doesn't always happen like that.
Which I wish, it's funny, the pastor that left in Atlanta that had hired me, it was a billboard that was exactly what did it. He was sitting with his wife. I think it's. I don't know if he's ever shared this publicly, but he ended up going and working at a church in Dallas. But he had pretty much planned and renovated that church for the last 12 years. But he had felt a stirring over the last year. I think I'm supposed to leave, and he was sitting with his wife in the car, and he said, "Amy, I just feel like if I stay here, I'm in disobedience, and I'm choosing my comfort zone." And they both looked up, and then a brand new company had just put its location by the church. Comfort zone. and it was literally like, oh, okay.
But don't you wish it was always that easy? I mean, come on, that's never that easy.
And I think those set you up for, the premature failure that this is what you expect. And I'm 2 years into the journey. I would say we are 86.2% good that we moved. We haven't tipped over. I mean, it sounds funny, but we haven't. Like, there's things that we haven't done. My wife needs a friend. I don't know if anyone listen to this. It's free. She's amazing. Yeah. But that's been hard. That's been hard, right? To not have the people and our stuff, like our core group and our parents 40 minutes away, and that's been hard. But one of the hardest things that I will remember, and then maybe you guys will go to whatever the next questions actually are. But in our journey here, the thing that I think hit me the hardest was my kids, because kids, they will know what you tell them and allow them to have to process. Really, for me, I think as a parent, it's your requirement to help them process on your shoulders life. Like, it's your job to show them a lens of safety and excitement and all these things. So 3 months into us knowing we're probably going to move, our daughters toured schools. We let them pick schools. Side note, apparently to 6 and 8 year olds, having carpet in the classrooms and a library in the school is the most important criteria. So that would have been handy to know for school tours prior.
Are you saying that you're saying there's no library?
There's a library in the school. Oh, yeah, apparently not. Yeah, apparently this Christian school they went to didn't have a library. and didn't
Can I
have
ask
carpet
a
in the
question?
classrooms.
Was this a public school or
No,
private?
it was Christian. They went to a Christian school.
Okay.
So here's the
I just
point
didn't
of-
want to like reinforce the stereotype about West Virginia.
No. Honestly,
We don't have a library in
There's
the
a
state.
library in the school.
what's a library?
That's
Yeah.
a library.
So they, after we toured all these schools, that was like their big thing.
Yeah.
And so it's just funny to us as parents. But again, it's like this is the lens they can measure through. This is
Yeah.
all they know. They're 6 and 8. So it became their idea that we should move, right? And we were like, great idea. It's amazing, because that's how we positioned it. But I got a letter. I got a letter from one of my daughters one day, 3 months into our move, and was like, I really just miss all my friends at our old school. I really miss Southridge Church. I really miss, 3 or 4 things. And I kept that letter on my desk, and it really, that's when it hurt, because it was like, even if I do win, how do we measure win? What is the win? How are we measuring it? If it's business success and everything else falls at the altar of the business success, that's a shallow victory. That's not the win. Fast forward, takes a year. I get another letter. The top of the letter,
Don't cry, Tyler. No, I'm
the
just
top
kidding.
of the letter is, Dad, and it's so interesting that my child chooses to write these letters, because we do talk, but these letters are how she writes to me. And she said in the letter, I'm just so thankful, Dad, that you listened to God when he told us to move to Ohio. And we love it here. And
That's
so,
awesome. Does
it
that
took
help?
a year.
Does that help?
Dude?
Because
I
even
look
when
at it
everything's
on my hardest
uncertain.
days, I look at that letter. I can
That's
pull
why.
it out of my drawer right now on my desk. I look at that letter. Because the other one that said, I miss my people, but I trust you, and I think we're going to love it here once we get settled in. That was the final part on the note. So it was like, this kind of remains to be seen, even for a 6-year-old.
Yeah.
It hit Dad pretty hard, of just I plucked everybody else from their victory in life to try and chase mine. But I did feel that this was the direction we needed to go.
It reminds me of when I was on the other end of that, when my parents plucked us up from what was home here and said, we're not moving to West Virginia, we're moving to another continent. And it was just so I can resonate with your kids. I was probably 14 at the time, and it's like all your friends, your whole world, everything you know. And that first year was just so hard.
Yeah.
And then we came back to visit, and then we went back over, and by year 2, it totally began to change. And it was like, no, this feels, it takes a while.
It does.
For a new place to feel a little bit like your place, even
It
at
does.
home if it's not. And I look back on even the 3 years that we spent in another country living there, and I am so grateful that my parents did that.
Yeah.
I remember just the experiences, the people that I met, even the direction of my life and the things that went. I look back and go, I'm so glad that they didn't allow comfort to be the thing that determined, or them not to be afraid to take the kids and rip them away from the life that they knew and the friends they knew and the church they knew. Because it was the same thing. I grew up in the same church. All my friends were in the church. I went to a Christian school with a lot of my friends. And then we went to a different country, and it was culture shock on top of culture shock. Because it was a different country, and it was with military, and then it was going to a public school over there, and it was just like, you're talking about a fish out of water.
And you probably knew this wasn't going to be permanent.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
I wouldn't have known that, but yeah, you don't even think about those things.
Yeah.
You're just like, why are you taking me from my place
Right.
and my people? But I look back again, and it was even hard moving back here when I graduated, and we moved back here, and because it had become home, but it was hard that first year or so.
Yeah, there's so much here, and even just sitting here, it's hitting me. You've never written me a letter.
Right.
Well, I'm not your
Once.
daughter,
Okay.
so, but I will.
I'll write
Say,
you.
Also,
Russ,
okay.
I'm so glad you
It'll be
moved here.
Chat GPT.
I'm so glad you moved here.
Okay. I just needed to hear it.
I'll have someone write it.
What did it look like landing here at the church?
Yeah, I wanted you to get to that, because I have been meaning to say, and I hope he gets to listen to this. You guys may already know that Terry Johnson's the reason I'm here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Terry Johnson, whom I didn't know who Terry Johnson was, we're driving by the church on a Thursday morning at 9 a.m. By the way, I flipped 300 houses by this point, and my wife and I buy a house via FaceTime. She's in West Virginia, and I'm walking through a house in Canal with a realtor, 7 a.m. on a Saturday, and my wife is saying, yeah, we can buy that house. Just process that of like we did this for a business, and now we're buying one through a realtor on a phone. Like, this is wild to do. Wild process. After we came up to have another, like, let's tour, I think we were touring schools, or we were just doing something as part of this process to move. Just doing some exploring. It was a Thursday morning. Drove by the church, this thing that looks like kind of a UFO ship, and it's awesome. No Mothman stuff, but I'm obviously drawn to it. And, you know, real talk, I'm drawn to excellence. So I could see it here. I could see it. And I pulled in, nobody here but a truck, Toyota Tacoma. And dude's like, getting stuff out of the back of the truck, going to the church, getting the back stuff out. If you know me, it won't surprise you that I ask this person, hey, why is this church great? Like, why is this church awesome? And for 20 minutes, he tells me all about the things. He tells me all about the ministries. He tells me about the outreach for this church. And after all that, he tells me he doesn't attend here and that his son's the worship leader. I promise you, it was in that exact order.
I love it.
So Terry Johnson, for anybody listening, is talking about his father.
Terry
Thank you,
does
Terry.
attend here. I mean,
He comes when he can. Plays drums sometimes.
He does. And
You got a drummer connection too.
Right. So we didn't have like the billboard God moment, but God was like, how about I drop you a drummer that has your same heart on a Thursday morning into a church parking lot where he doesn't actually go?
Yeah.
How about you talk to him first? So like there was these little things, but yeah, Terry's, you know, he can take the credit or blame for however my tenure goes here. Yeah, we have felt home, but tying this to even being at a church like X Church that's excellent and operates in excellence. And, you know, we've had a lot of fun here, but you guys, you operate in excellence, and I was drawn to it. I know you can't be perfect, but you chase a wholly designed perfection that is to honor God.
Yeah.
And I resonate with that. Like, I see that, and I know how hard, having been on the other side of the fence of church culture, I know how hard that is. I know how, you know, exhausting that can be to try and operate at this level. But saying all that and how amazing this church is, it also wasn't easy to just come here and just immediately think, I'm just going to fall over in the floor and cry and just know this is my church today.
Yeah.
That also didn't happen.
Yeah.
I also had to keep coming on principle.
Yeah.
Also had days where you didn't want to come.
Yeah.
Also, we're like, you know what? It's kind of hard to get in a circle here. I don't know if people just don't like us. Maybe we stink. There was things like there. But you have to keep going.
Yeah.
Like, you have to go on principle.
Yeah, I like that.
And it's just, you know, I think people would come out to the front of this church and be like, oh, it's going to be the easiest thing in the world here. I will not experience any trial and tribulation in here.
Yeah.
Wrong.
Yeah.
It's wrong.
Right.
Yeah.
The people are in here.
Right.
Flesh.
Yep.
People.
I think too, what you speak of, because finding community anywhere is not easy.
It's not.
It's really not. And you can find good people, but finding like community, I think, takes time. I think it's hard. You know, you got to find connection, but then you also have to foster it. I mean, there's so much of like, you know, finding, because I always say too, I think, you know, getting into a small group environment is a great thing. But at the end of the day, what you are trying to find are your people.
Yeah.
You're trying to find like, hey, who are the people I connect with? And sometimes you have to kind of, I've been in places where you have to kind of like, try this and try this to meet the people you go, we click.
Yep.
And especially when you're, I would say, a transplant.
Yeah.
Because I think, because I don't know if you were in the same church or mostly in the same church grown up in.
We hopped
Or
a
did
little
you guys
bit,
win as
mostly
soon
the
as you
same
married?
circuit of,
Yeah, so there's a sense of familiarity. There's a sense of, you know, certain people that you can kind of take your community with you or go. But when you move to a whole new environment, a whole new city, a whole new thing, and you're the only ones, it's a much taller order. Taller order to find community.
It's so, like, I never even realized, like, where do you even change your vehicle oil? Like, you know, you
Right across the street, actually.
I do.
Now that you
love that place. Side plug. But yeah, like, you just forget the things that it's like, I don't even know where to get a haircut here. I don't even know anyone.
Yep.
Yeah, it can be
It's intimidating.
It's overwhelming, but also can be exciting to step into a new space. And I just think a couple things you said. I like the whole idea you kept saying on principle.
Yeah.
I think successful individuals aren't emotion driven; they're principle driven. And I also, this will not be surprising to you that I remember this, but July 2018, when I visited for the first time, we were in week 3 on a series on community, and you made a statement. You said you can't force community, but you can find it. And I just think that's so good to remember when you're in a place, because we either want to force it, or we imagine I'll never find it. But as long as you're in a healthy place and you keep yourself open and you're friendly, you can find it.
You can.
You can.
You can. And I mean, what I don't know the number as we sit here, but how many small groups, if you guys know, are in existence in this church right now?
I think it's like 63.
60 some.
60 plus groups. So if you have the excuse that just can't find one, that's a lot of groups.
Yeah. You keep trying. I mean, it's
That's
a hard,
a lot of
it's a lot
groups.
to do that. I understand that. Like, I think too, here's what I have found for us. Like, we obviously have a sense of community within the church, but we also have found that we have developed community with people outside the church too through school. When our girls were in school and they're playing on sports teams and you're going to games every night with the same people and then they're friends, so then we want to go out to dinner, and then you're going out to dinner with the parents. We still have relationships with some of the parents from that.
Yep.
And so it's like finding and but not all of them, right? It's like finding the people that you connect with and resonate with. And some of our community, my wife and I, that we have are people. In fact, my wife would probably say one or two of like her quote unquote best friends that we would have or she has in community don't live in the state.
Yeah.
And we'll get together once a year, twice a year, but always talk. And that, like, she's like, every time I'm around them. And so I think there's an element when you are transplant, you got to find community where you are. That's ongoing. But I also think sometimes there can be rich community friends and stuff from there. And I think you have to be intentional. That's one of the things we're trying to do right now is, be intentional of going, okay, in June,
Right.
like we meet places. They're in that state. They're in this state. We were all in one state to begin with. Everybody moved out.
Yep.
But we're trying to be intentional at least once a year to go, let's all meet at that place on this weekend, on this day. And sometimes that's just therapeutic for your soul.
It is.
You know? And so I think even the answer of community is there's not a one size fits all. And there's not just, okay, you found one friend or you found it in just a church. I think it's a journey to kind of find your circle of people, and it can be in all kinds of different spheres in different times. So
Yeah.
it's not easy, but it's important, and we need it.
I think that the takeaway of the journey that I'm on so far that I would have clarity of, because I'll be honest, and we talked about this at lunch, like I don't have extreme clarity of like, oh yeah, we've had this mountaintop moment. And I mean, I just can't imagine had we not done this. What I know that I can't imagine is had we stayed.
Yeah.
And I know that the pain of, so God wired me that like when I'm done with something, I'm done, and I'm really okay with it. Like I'm really done. And there's days I wish I wasn't like that because I do it in everything I'm in. I'm like 170%, and then I'm not, and I'm okay, and I'm released, and it's great. So I was done in West Virginia, and so for me to like try to push past that was like, who would you have been? And I can't imagine where we're at today. I can't imagine not experiencing this journey.
Yeah.
I can't imagine not going on this journey that we're on. I can't imagine because we have, side plug, we have prospered in our journey in Ohio. We have succeeded. We have excelled in business and all the things that are a struggle. Still, we have succeeded. We have excelled. So
I love that, dude. I would just say, I think you and your family and your kids, first of all, I think they're going to be so much better off. Not because they're in Columbus versus West Virginia, but I think they're going to be better off because you are showing them what it looks like to take risk. You're showing them that other aspects of the world that we live in. Like, I think that kind of stuff, it does change you. It shapes you. It kind of molds you. You have a different mindset. You know, I meet sometimes people here in our state that have never left the state, like ever. They've never gone on a trip. I'm like, there's so much to this world that, bro, you should see. And so as someone who's pretty much been planted here most of my life, I wasn't born here, but most of my life, I have roots now. So my roots run deep, and I got kids who are now married and grandson. And so it's real, church, like their roots run really deep, but I still have that thing in me that's like, oh, we want to go. I want to go explore. I want to go see. I love to travel and go places. And I think some of that might be that my parents picked us up out of here instead of just being here our whole lives. And then when we were over in Europe, we're traveling on a regular basis, visiting all these countries. And that probably fed some of that. So your kids are going to be better off for it. As hard as it is, been a journey. So
I resonate with that so much because, I'm a big believer in being planted and having roots and not being flaky. But every time God's calling you somewhere, I look back, every new season I stepped into shaped so fundamentally who I've become.
Yeah.
But there's a podcast we did a couple podcasts ago. We're talking about Hebrews 11. Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. You're a vision-minded person.
Yeah.
So you had to make the decision that I have more confidence in what I hope for than even what I currently have.
That was it.
And that's a big deal. My last little parting question, because I experienced this each time I moved, is the people around me, why would you do that?
Yeah.
Wait, but you especially when I left Atlanta, I had people, close friends, like, you have a great life here. Why would you? Why? I can't even understand it. To me, it was so clear. But I'm curious, like, did you have to fight through being misunderstood? Did you have to fight through the opinions of others to step into the new thing that you felt like God was calling you into?
Yeah, and some of my best friends that have stayed my best friends and are still my best friends are my West Virginia dudes, and yeah, some of them did kind of challenge or question me, because I think in ways they looked up to me in different paths, and I was the entrepreneur of the group, so I was always the one causing the chaos in the party, and they were like, well, who's going to cause the chaos now, right? You're the guy that always did that for us. So I did have the nice pushback, and those were the hardest moments, because they were saying the exact questions you asked, like, why? And for me, I used to, like, you know how you have like the best clarity in the shower, and you have all these, I have this exact thought I want to give, and this is when I got it. Well, the clarities that I could get when we were literally going through the season of like packing trailers, moving our house, like doing the thing, was that God has called me to something, and he's called me to this insatiable desire to chase and to dream and to go cause things to happen and to create businesses and to go take risk. And he's called me to do that. And as exhausting as it is, if I sit on my hands, I'm not going to be honoring the call for my life that he has, because he hasn't said, it's good, you're good, I don't have anything more for you to need to do. There's an insatiable appetite that I had to go find. And I didn't expect them to understand that. I didn't expect them to understand that. I think I would have asked them and kind of asked them to trust that I do not know what this season does look like, but I know that there is a new season. That's what I know. That's it. And I'm going to rest in the excitement that as long as I take one step forward, I'll find the next footing. And it was tough. It really was, because I think there is obviously unclarity when, for me, I'm an entrepreneur. I chose to move me. Like, I was my employer. I am my employer here. Most would say you can employ yourself anywhere you want. Why did you need to move? It wasn't like a job called me, or I was faced with a position change or whatever that, I think it's easier for people when you're like, oh, well, my husband got a new job and we got to move. It's like, oh, cool, you're off the hook. It totally makes sense. Right. Like, oh, no, Tyler has an insatiable desire to be great and he feels mediocre here. Oh, well, what? That's a ton of questions. Like, no, it shouldn't be. I want to chase. And
it wasn't an external hook. It was an internal drive.
100%.
And for you, that made total sense.
Yeah.
100%. And maybe in a year I'll have a better unpacking of kind of where we're at, because I feel like we are at about 20,000 foot trying to land this plane. We haven't quite landed it, and it gets turbulent at times, but maybe we never will land it. But I think my journey is the depiction of somebody who needs clarity on whether they should take theirs or not, and I wouldn't regret it. I wouldn't regret it for a minute. I don't regret it. I'm excited about where we're going.
Well, I'm glad you're here.
Yeah.
I think West Virginia should be bought by Ohio, and then all this would be simpler. That's it.
We need to expand. We need to. Well, thanks for coming on here. I think your transparency and just sharing the internal challenge of taking a step of faith and kind of feeling called and pulled from the inside to do something. There's probably a lot of people that resonate with that, and I think people are usually encouraged when they hear if someone else goes, well, they did that, then maybe I can. And so I think your story will resonate with people, and so I'm glad you're here.
Thanks.
I'm glad you ran into Terry.
Thank you, Terry.
You're a great drummer. You're an awesome dude. I really, your family, I'm glad you're here, and I hope you guys really do find the full, deep friendship and community and everything here. And I'm excited to kind of watch your journey.
Yeah,
be a part
I
of
appreciate it. Appreciate you guys having me on here.
Yeah.
So glad you're here. We love you. And hopefully I keep running into you at roast and random comedy.
Right. Where else did we run into each other?
Me and Keith Hume ran into you at the Nate Bargatze.
Nate Bargatze.
I was like, if these two start talking, I'm never leaving.
Just gonna watch the show.
I mean, I was like watching a bromance, and I'm like, they can't get near each other.
Yeah,
that's funny.
Or I'll never leave. No, your family's so loved, man.
I feel that here, and I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I do. You guys have embraced us.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, now people have found the talent that my wife has of design and
Yeah, she's
decorating,
good.
and she's been great. But wrapping this up, the one thing that I got right when I moved here was when we knew nothing, and we knew nothing, and we knew we were vulnerable, and we knew that we were weak. We immediately had to find the church.
Yeah.
Like we had to.
That's great.
And that is so easy, I know, in people's lives when they go through these seasons where it's uneasy. The first thing they want to say is, oh, I'm just tired on a Sunday. Oh, I'm just tired. I'm just going to skip for one Sunday. And then it becomes 8.
Yeah.
And then you're out in an island and you don't even know where to turn back.
Yeah.
We knew finding the school that was the Christian school and then finding the church community was where our nucleus would form.
Yeah.
That's great.
Good
That's great.
spiritual maturity. That's what it is. So
And then, you know, the best church we liked, they didn't take us, so then we came here.
that's
Okay,
Yeah,
great,
that's-
great.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that so much. Yeah. Which the crazy thing is, I thought Jehovah's Witnesses took everybody.
So I went on a Sunday and it was just not even
and they
open.
weren't even there.
Yeah.
Okay. That's wonderful to hear. All right. Hey, thank you for being on. Thank you for getting out of your shell, just for a moment. And it's been a rich conversation. And so if you don't know Tyler Markham and you're part of the X Church community, go find him, listen for him.
You guys have a circle too.
We
do.
do.
You guys have a circle with?
We co-host with the Leonards. We have the we're middle-aged 30s with middle-aged kids. We have some 2-month-old to 11-year-olds, and it's going great.
That's awesome.
So we're
Good.
married couples, kids. I don't know. I'm the husband of the co-hosting. I don't know what we do. I just show up.
You just find inner circles. So if you're like, hey, I want to hang out with,
and you're a part of his executives and entrepreneurs circle.
he comes to that. He's fantastic.
I'm a real
He loves
estate guy.
it.
I
He
buy
loves it.
dirt now. So
Yep.
buy and sell dirt.
And you put down
dirty
the
guy.
quad.
Yeah, I do. I did. I put down it's actually on my cup here. I didn't do
Gotcha.
it here. But yeah, I put down the plod.
There you go.
You can go for it. All right. Until next time, check out Tyler Markham. Where can they find you?
You can find my shenanigans at legacyacresland.com, and you can find me on Instagram at
Do you want to say that word again? Legacy?
Legacy Acres Land.
Okay.
That is my company, legacyacresland.com.
Okay.
And then you can find me on Instagram at Tales from Tyler.
Tales from Tyler.
Tales
I love
from Tyler.
it. All right. Check out Tyler. And until next time, we will see you next week.
Hey guys, it's Russ. Thanks so much for listening. We really believe if we can get around tables instead of behind screens, if we can talk to each other instead of at each other, we can make the world better. To help us do that, here are a few things you can do to help. First, if you haven't yet, leave a review on Apple or Spotify and hit subscribe on YouTube. This helps more than you know. Also, if you have been impacted by the community out of which this podcast comes, that's X Church. Maybe you're local or you've been touched by the messages and impact across the country, even the world. I want to encourage you to support this work. A powerful life principle is to invest in the people and places that invest in you. And so I want to invite you to do that right now by going to thex.church/give. You can give a one-time small gift, a sacrificial gift, or even become a recurring partner. Together, let's keep elevating the conversation, thinking higher, loving deeper, and making the world better. Cheers.